All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's tutorial. I'm just going to quickly share my video for the online people so they can see me. Just give me a minute. Okay, online people, I'm only appearing for a bit. Wait, no, hang on. I'm only appearing for a bit so that you can at least see me for today, just temporarily. Okay, hello. All right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just to start off, we're going to do a roll call. All right. But I'm just going to give you an idea of the schedule for today or what's planned for today. So we're going to do roll call, and then we are going to show you the general learning guides that are on Eve in case you haven't seen them. And then because there might be a number of students who haven't actually done any reading at all, you might not realize that you can download the recordings that we have made. So as with this recording now, you will see that it is being recorded, and afterwards, if you want to watch it again, even those of you who are here physically, if you want to refer to this lecture or tutorial, or this tutorial again, then it's perfectly possible for you to access the recording. All right. Okay. So, and then afterwards, we will go through what Mr. Lebier recommended that I do, and that is explain the online, offline, or in-person practical sessions again, because he's reporting that a number of you are coming when it's your week to be online and you still rock up. And then there's also people rocking up at the wrong sessions. And the problem is, remember, we are maintaining the group A and B for a reason, because we need to adhere to COVID compliance. So it has to be not more than 50% capacity, and we really want to stick to that to keep everyone safe. So please, we're not trying to be difficult. There is a reason why we assign you to group A or B during a certain session. Please come during then. All right. And after that, we will do some if statements. All right. So over here, continue. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to turn off the video for those online. Let's go. All right, so there is a question from NCDAT who is asking, when will yesterday's lecture be made available? I will have to check with Mr. Lebier. The issue yesterday, to my understanding, is he had an audio issue, and he promised that he would make the recording available, and then I'm not sure what has happened, but I will chase up on that. All right. But today's tutorial, we will go through, we'll pretty much do an implementation of what was happening in yesterday's lecture. So you won't miss much if you just concentrate on today's content. All right. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, just one request to those who are online. I unfortunately don't have those expensive wireless earphones that Mr. Lebier has, so I've got you on mute because I don't want to interfere with the entire lecturing experience. And so if you have any queries, please just type it in the chat for those online, and I promise I will get to you. The same as the physical people, I'm not neglecting you. You know, we're all learning how to give equal opportunity to the online people and also to the physical people. We're learning to do that. So please just let us get used to it as well. Okay. Yeah, we're not used to this kind of multitasking. Are you all done with the attendance? No? Yes? Just go ahead and do it. And online people, please just remember to do the attendance. This is our way of verifying that you are indeed present in the session. Okay. So while we are waiting for that to happen, could I just have a show of hands? So who reckons that they are able to do the practical due this week, this Friday? Hands up. And then for the online people, you obviously, if you can all, maybe I'll do a poll. Okay, let me do a poll quickly for, okay, so the online people, physical people, hands up. Okay, let me see. Okay, there's a majority. And then the online people, I'll do a poll now. Okay, so online people, I've thrown up a poll. You can answer it. Okay. So quick question, and this is for online people and the physical people. Do you think that the practical due this week contains any new work that you have not done for your practical due last week? Yes, no? Right, let me see what the online people think. Online people, what is your opinion? Do you think that the practical due this week has any new things that you have not done for last week's practical? Okay, remember you can't speak up, you just have to type what you say. Okay, I've got one person who said, nah, not really. So he types like he talks. Please just don't write essays that way when you get to essay writing. Okay, so there's 57 seconds remaining. Why would I ask you, do you think there's anything new due this Friday that you haven't done in last week's practical? Why do you think I'm asking that? Because this week, what have we been teaching you? Well, we started last week, technically. We started on if statements last week. And then we touched on if statements again this week. But why do you think I need to bring that up? Why do I think I need to bring up? Why is there anything new for this week's practical that you have to hand in by Friday when you compare it to what you had to hand in last Friday? I think what I'm trying to insinuate is, will you need to do if statements in your practical this week? Okay, online people, you're not obviously seeing them, you can't hear them because they haven't said anything, they're just, gesturing with their heads. Now I've got a no, all right, one whole no. Is there anybody else from the online people who have an idea? Okay, I'm going to close that. Okay, I've got 2 no's, 3 no's, okay, good. And then the majority of the people, well, I won't say majority, I think there's some, okay, who doesn't know? Who doesn't know if there's if statements in this week's practical? Why not? Did you not read the practical yet? Have you read the practical? Okay, so let's answer that question just now. Okay, let's do what I said I would do. So once you log in onto Eve, now this is obviously my view. I logged in as a lecturer, so there are certain things you see, but don't worry about it. You get the same thing I do in terms of as you log in, you will see, let me just push stop there. Okay, I'll close that, the poll. You'll see that when you log in, this is the first view you get, right? Is this familiar with you? Okay. This is effectively the general notices. The general notices is for everyone. And some of these notices might not necessarily be pertinent to you, but it's more than one module, so we just chuck it here and we go, everyone, sorry, other lecturers messaging me, apologies, let me try and close these things. Okay, so if you scroll down here, hang on, there's something about a book dash, I have no idea. There we go, the Virtual Assistance Lab Discord server. How many of you have joined? Okay, have you been using it? Who's been using it so far? Show people. Anybody online? All right. So if you need assistance from the tutors because you are working on your practical and you have no clue how to do it, or you've got an idea but you're not sure and you want to test it, then you take it and you show it to the assistants or the tutors in the lab or virtually. You go, this is what I've tried so far. Can you assist me? Right. Why can't you just take the practical question, go to the assistant and say, I don't know. Help. Can you do that with a doctor? So if you're sick and you go to the doctor, you just go to the doctor, sit there and go, sick, fix. What will happen? The doctor needs to know a few things, right? So the doctor's going to have to go and ask you, well, where is the problem? Same thing happens with your assistants. Your assistants are not, well, they're not doctors, all right? They also need to be able to isolate where your problem is. They can't read your mind and go, oh, I see. It's a statement you don't understand. Let me help you there. So you've got to try your attempt and then take it to them and say, this is what I've tried. It's not a very good try. I'm not very confident in it. But can you tell me what should I do next? Or am I on the right track? And they will help you there. Right. So there's that. And then there is the general learning guide. You can see there's the one for undergraduate students. So that's the one you click on. You don't have to click on the honors students one because the honors students one get less information. Yes. Because they don't need as much love as the undergraduate students. They don't get assistance. Right, so as I say, there's some announcements there. You can get it there. Now, the one thing they do is when you read through the learning guide, they actually tell you, they give you links to other guides. And one of the guides is the Blackboard guide. So, okay, you don't normally see this, but let me press close. So normally when you log in and you click on the live lectures, this is the menu you see, right? You're all familiar with this? Yes? You visit this once a week at least, right? Hopefully. And so normally like today for the tutorial, you go, oh, I need to attend today's tutorial. So we click on it and you would join. But where are the recordings? The recordings are accessible here. So here you have the kebab. You see, I learned that this is not the hamburger. No, is this the hamburger? Yes, this is the hamburger. Oh, no, kebab, hamburger. All right. So when you get to that, you go, oh, look, sessions. That's where you are. And, ooh, there's an option that says recordings. What do you think is there? Isn't it like, you know, come on, this is your one opportunity to shine, people. What do you think is there? Recordings. You click on recordings, and it will list basically all the recordings that were made. All right? And some of the recordings you might not see anymore because it's too old. Now, for now, I think we're still good. Because I think they list the recordings for the last 2 weeks. But over and above that, if you want to access the older recordings, what you will have to do is you would have to choose this drop-down box and go recordings in a range, and then you select the range. And you'd say, well, I started on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, and then what happens, it will list all the recordings within that range. And my suggestion, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not really have the bandwidth, the data at home, so you come to university just to get the data, connect to the Wi-Fi, my suggestion is while you are on campus, go and download these recordings. All right, so how you can do that is you can click on this, and you can click download. You can watch now if you want, but you can also download the videos. And if you download the videos, you can save it to your computer and you can access it at a later stage. The only minus side of having to download all these video recordings is you're doing it for informatics, you're doing it for computer science, you're doing it for mathematics, you're doing it for business management. whatever, and that is going to eat up a lot of your hard drive space. So you can decide which ones you want. Maybe you're done with the video, you don't need it anymore. I mean, don't hoard. You don't need to hoard things. I mean, this isn't HBO stuff. You don't need to keep it. Okay, once you figure out what we've said to you, delete it. We'll be okay. We'll be okay if you delete us. We're not going to be, you don't love us anymore. Okay, we'll be happy you understood something. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you understand how to get the recordings. Are you all good? Okay. And if there are any other additional recordings which were not made on here, then what will happen is we will upload it and we'll make sure that the link is visible for you to access. All right. Good? Okay. So that is the recording. That's the general learning guides in a nutshell. So let's move on. So I'm going to close this now. I don't need this. I'm going to close Eve as well. And I'm going to close that. And let's talk about programming in Visual Basic for if statements. All right. The reason why I need to mention this to you and that question earlier is, ladies and gentlemen, please don't think you need to do what I'm showing you now for your practical due this Friday. Does this make sense? If you shove what I show you now in terms of the if statements into your practical due this Friday, you have a problem. You have quite a serious problem because it means you misunderstood the problem. Okay. On that note, I'm also telling you the point of these tutorials is not to tell you how to do your practical, not give you the answer for your practical every week. The tutorial is really to work through, give you more experience, give you more exposure to working through these if statement problems going ahead. Right. But before I do that, I need to remember that I need to explain to everyone the whole issue of when do you come to the practicals. Right. So I am going to quickly start this MS Paint app up. And if there's one thing you're going to discover, don't worry, online people, I'm going to share my screen now. There's one thing you discover, it will be that if you thought Mr. Libier's MS Paint skills were terrible, you are about to be shocked. Okay, so hopefully online people you can see my MS Paint, okay, because I don't want to deprive you of my awesome MS Paint skills. So let's do this. I think I'll use a brush. Now you all know that you are either in group A or you are in group B, right? Except the people who registered late. I know that you need to be assigned an A or B. Okay, but everyone will eventually be A or B. But they are in A or B for two different things. You will be in A or B for classes and tutorials like you are right now, okay? So the people sitting physically in front of me, you are in group A for classes and tutorials. And the people online, you are here online accessing this class because you are in group B. Okay, does this make sense? For the tutorial and for class. And classes, every Monday, every Thursday morning, you alternate with group B. A, you alternate with B. So A, this week is A, so you are here physically. Group B, you're online for Monday and Thursday. But tomorrow's class, Wednesday, everyone comes to class. Got it? Tutorials, you only attend one. So you are attending this one now, so I don't expect to see you on the Thursday tutorial or the Friday tutorial. Got it? But then, the practicals, that is another A or B. Now, you could have booked. If you had booked, you might have made the choice to say, well, I'm in Group A for my lectures and tutorials. It doesn't make sense for me to be in Group B for the practicals because I want to come all in 1 week. Okay, so some of you decided that was what you wanted to do, and so you then booked for Group A for the practicals as well. Some of you decided you would rather be in Group B for some reason. I don't know, is there anyone here that's Group A for the tutorials and lectures but ended up in Group B for the practicals? Okay, one whole person, 2. Now, it might be that you booked, or it might be that you didn't book and we assigned you. And we looked at what space was available and we assigned. Okay, so the B people right now, you also have a different A or B, or maybe the same A and B depending on what you booked for. Now, on top of that, you also know that there are how many practical sessions every week? There's 3 available sessions. So there is a session 1, and there's a session 2, and there's technically a session 3. Right, and session 1, 2, and 3 in your learning guide is basically 2 periods after 10 to 2, until, I can't remember those times, but you know which times I'm talking about, hopefully. Anyone not know what the times are? Okay, it's one of those 3 sessions. However, because there's a Group A and there's a Group B, it means there are in total how many possible sessions? 6. Do you understand? There's 6 possible sessions. There's a session 1 for Group A, there's a session 2 for Group A, there's a session 3 for Group A, there's a session 1 for Group B, there's a session 2 for Group B, there's a session 3 for Group B. However, the way Eve works is it doesn't allow us to name the sessions the way we wanted to. So, they then said, and this is what you see on Eve. You see, some of you are in session 1, right? Some of you are in session 2. Who's in session 1? Hands up. Okay, who's in session 2? If you're in session 2, on Eve, it means that you are in Group B for the practicals. For session 1. Does this make sense? So what I'm trying to get at is, physically, there are these 3 slots. But on Eve, you will get either session 1 to session 6. Where is session 1? Session 1 is here. Session 2 is there. Session 3 is there. Session 4 is there. Session 5 is there. And session 6 is there. All right. Now, why am I going into this? Because this is a perfect opportunity to do if statements, if you really think about it. Do you agree? Who agrees? Online people, do you agree? This is a great opportunity to demonstrate if statements. They're quiet. All right, so session 3. If you see, oh, you're in session 3. When do I see you? When's the next time I see you in the practicals? Physically. If you are in session 3, according to Eve, you are in session 3. When do I see you next time for your practical physically? When are you going to rock up? This week? What time? During session 2. Well, during this time. This session 2, which is 3:30. Right, does this make sense? And if you were session 4, then I don't see you this week. I see you next week. And if you're in session 5, I see you this week, but I will see you in the last slot, the graveyard shift. Remember, we talked about that. And if you are in group session 6, according to Eve, then we see you next week, graveyard shift. All right, does this make sense? Okay, so we would like to write a program that will help our students understand this. All right, does this make sense? Because some students are, I don't know. On Eve, it says I must be in session 5. What does that mean? So we would like to write a program that's going to tell them, don't worry, we've sorted it out, we'll let you know. How's that? Something very concrete and capable of helping our friends. Okay. So, what kind of information, and obviously before we start developing any code and so on, what do we do first? A design, because we've got to understand the problem at hand. So, I've kind of introduced the problem to you. What is the problem? The problem is students don't know when to come to pracs. All right? What information do we need to help them? Let them know when to come to practicals. What must a student tell us so that we can say, come this week, come next week, come during this time? What do you think? Write it down. Okay, online people, did you get my question? So we are going to try and write a program that will help students be less confused as to when they're going to come to practicals. So in terms of our very first step of our design, we need to know what will a student give us? What kind of information will a student give us in order for us to help them indicate, oh, you must come during this time, whether it's this week or next week. Okay, I see you're done. Who else is done? Aha, very quick. Some of you are like trying to win a race here. Okay. Right, so keep this in mind. What information do you require from your user? Because your user is going to use this program and say, here's the information I need to provide you. And then in return, if I give you this information, what are you going to give me back? Write that down. Unless you've had the foresight to already write it down. So think about you. Okay, so with this problem, you understand the problem. Okay. So obviously, with any computer program, you need to be able to have the user provide you with some input. Okay, does this make sense? And in return, if they give you this input, they're expecting something back. What would you write down as what the user provides? But then in return, what should the program give back to your user that satisfies their use of this program? So they're using the program for a reason, right? What are they using it for? Anyone? Okay, yes? To find out when, what time they must come. Right. Okay. And so obviously they need certain information. All right. Hopefully many of you have written it down. Let's work through our answers. Okay. So, who has specified that they need to tell you which session they are in? Hands up. And then obviously online people, you can click on the raise hand button. Let's see, is there anyone raising their hand? Okay, a few of you. One whole person has raised their hand. Okay, and then a few of you put your hand up. All right. So you put in which session they are. And what are the possible answers that a user will put into the program? The range. So let me put it this way. The program we were working with in class to work out the average of the grade 12 results. What was the expected range of data that you would put in? What were you expecting? A value between 0 to 100, right? That's what we mean, like the expected range of input. With regards to this problem here, we said, okay, you need to specify which session you are in according to E. So what's the expected range of input there? The values 1 to 6. Does this make sense? Because there are 6 possible values. All right. Yes, I see the online people are tapping away. Well done. All right. So, can I just have a show of hands? Who says that's it? That's all you need. The end. Finish. Yes, no. Okay, I've got a few hands there. I don't know about the online people, but I see that you're in a minority. So, either the others have no clue what I'm asking about, okay, or they might have something else that you might not have thought of. What could that possibly be? I'm going to ask the online people. Is there anyone who's decided that they will ask the user for something other than 1 to 6? Anyone? Maybe they're typing. Is there anyone typing? Okay, but the people physically here, anyone care to volunteer? I see. KM Masengu is going the week number. Ooh, week number. What do we mean by the week number? I'm going to let the physical people give me some theories as to what they think KM Masengu means by week number. Do you think week number is something we might want to use? Yes, no? Yeah, there's just a few like, yes, okay. Why do we need the week number? Yes. Yeah, okay. Perfect answer, but please keep your mask on. Okay. All right. Does this make sense? Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, do we need to know which week it is? Some are like, no. Why not? Do we need to know which week it is in order for us to say, come this week or come next week? Yes, no? Okay, all right. Think of it this way. I see that people are like, oh, you're so lost. Okay, think of it this way. If you just told me that you're in you're in session 1 to 6. Okay, one of the 6. I'm in session 4. Okay, great, session 4. What can I tell if you tell me you're in session 4? I can only tell you one piece of information, and that is you are supposed to come during 3:30 on a Friday, right? But can I tell you whether you should come this week 3:30 or next week 3:30? If I only know you told me you are in session 4, can I say, oh yeah, this week? Wait, no, not this week, next week. I can't. That means I do need to know which week number it is, or maybe is it week A or week B? Does this make sense? So it might not necessarily be week number, so to speak. It depends on your interpretation. But let's try and do it as simple as possible. All right. Let's keep it as, we know that this is, so if someone specifies it's week A, or if it's week B. Does this make sense? Right. Because there's only week A or week B, right? There's no week C, D, E, F, G. Okay, so going back to my little design now, and I'm glad Ahmed gets it now. I hope everybody else, physically and online, also get it. So over here we know that if we are told that it is week A, and we are told either 1, 3, or 5, then we know that they must come this week during their session. But if we say, oh no, I am group session 3, but it's week B this week, then I tell them, oh, you must go online and join us at 3:30. Does this make sense? Are you all tired? It's only Tuesday. And it's only week 3. Now I'm confusing you all. Of 14 weeks. Are we going too slowly for you? Must we go quickly? Can we skip if statements and go, oh, you all know if statements, let's move on to the next thing? Would that be more exciting for you? Some of you are like, no. Okay, right. Okay, so, all right, we've got the inputs, we've got the outputs. We also need to know the variables we are going to work with. So, how many variables do you think we need for this problem? How many placeholders do you think we require? Okay, so think about that. And I also want you to maybe just to help you while you're saying, oh, how many variables, I'm not sure. Think of what your user interface would look like. Okay, try and scribble out your user interface. I am going to draw my user interface. Right. Okay, so you draw. Okay, I'll draw the user interface. I'll take one for the team. I'll draw one. But please don't hand in designs the way I've drawn it and then tell your assistant, but that's how it was drawn in the tutorials. Yeah, it was drawn in the tutorials this way because I don't have a pen and pencil in front of me. All right. Okay. So, come up with the variables. I'll do the user interface and then we can discuss it. All right. So, let me see, brush. Okay, so this is like, oh, terrible. Ooh, very bad. Okay. Ooh. You know what I mean. Okay, and then over there, I would say the practical information assistant. Okay, so this will help you determine when you attend your pracs. Right. And remember your forms have to have a name. Do you remember that? So in my user interface, I am going to do the paintbrush, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to point to it, and then I'm going to say this is called FRM pracs. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Okay. Right. Okay. So there's my form. And we've already established that according to our input, we are going to specify the session that we get told we are supposed to attend on Eve. And we are going to also specify from the user which week it is, right? So those are the two pieces of information. How will I capture this information on my form? Using what? text boxes. Okay, so I'm going to draw my text boxes. So obviously I need to have labels, and so there is my one text box, and then there's my second text box. Oh. And then here I would normally have a caption. So those are labels. And remember, I don't worry about labels. I just plunk a label on. I don't have to rename them. I just change the text. So it is session. And then the other thing is which week, A or B. Right, just try to be a little informative to the people so that they know, oh, it's, yeah, so I'll put in 1 to 6 is, 1 to 6 bracket so that the user will know, oh, it's got to be a value between 1 and 6, and it's got to be A or B. Does this make sense? All right, and then I'm going to have a button. So let me put in a button. There's my button. And obviously with the text boxes, I need to label it. So there, that text box I'm going to call TXT session. So SESSION. All right. And then that one is called TXT. Any ideas what I would call it? Are you all going to name it the same thing? No. You're going to call it whatever you want as long as it makes sense, right? So maybe you would have called it TXT A or B. Doesn't matter. As long as whoever's marking it looks at it and goes, oh, I see where you're coming from. Okay. So there's TXT week. And the button, remember the buttons have to be called with a certain prefix. What is it? BTN. So I'm going to have BTN, and I'm going to say eval. So evaluate. Okay. And is that fine? Is that all I need? Obviously this button here needs to say tell me or something like that. So that's the caption you're going to have. So if they click on the button, it will tell them, you know, what they're doing this week. Right. Is that it? Is that all? No. What else am I missing? What am I missing here? Yes. We need another text box, right? To display our output. Because otherwise, this program, sure, it takes in the information and it calculates it, but it won't tell me what it is. Okay, so I'm going to have another text box. Let me draw another one. Okay, all right. And please note your text boxes should be the same size, where possible. I won't use the same size here because there's a reason why I'll do it. I'll show you what I mean. All right, and I'm going to call this TXT when. I know, it's terrible. Okay, when or where or something, I don't know. All right, and then here obviously I will have the label. I'm going to just scribble that and pretend, you know, you all imagine that scribble you see there is you attend practicals, ... All right, got it. Okay, pretty much it, right? My user interface is there. I've got my button, I've got my text boxes for input, I've got my text box for output. I'm ready to write code. Now, we all established that in this particular problem, it would be very, very beneficial for us to use an if statement. Why would we need to use an if statement here? Because you think about the benefit of an if statement is its conditions. The program needs to give you a response based on certain conditions. So you provide it with conditions, and those conditions are, I'm telling you, I am session so-and-so. It is now currently week A or B. Those are the conditions it needs to look at, and based on those conditions, it will tell you, oh, you must come during this time online. You must come during this time physically in the ELES labs. Does this make sense? So the computer needs to respond differently. How many different ways is this computer going to respond? Any ideas? How many different ways will your program respond? How many different responses will there be in this computer program depending on what you tell it? Any ideas? Yes? 6, right? There should be 6. Think about it. There's 6. Why is there 6? Any ideas why there's 6? Okay, so there's people online saying 2. There's 6 different ways in which this computer program can respond to you. Technically, combined, I say there's 12. Okay? 12. Why would I say there's 12? Now my number's just getting higher. Okay, he was like, yeah, 12. Anybody else figure out why it's 12? Okay, your turn. You're going to have to tell me.
Because there's 6 options to it and 6 options to it.
Yeah, you understand? This is combinatorics in play, in maths, you remember? So if you buy a lottery ticket, how many different combinations can there be? Have you done the calculations there? Lots. This is why you shouldn't bother. Okay. Right, so there's 12 possible options. As we say, because there are 6 possibilities, and based on the 6 possibilities, you would say you're either online or you are offline. Offline being come physically and attend the class. Does this make sense? Okay, so let's actually look at the if statement. Now, I'm going to open up Notepad. We know, before we actually start writing any code. Okay, what is the, and we're going to start with the separate if statements. You remember we talked about the separate if statements and we talked about the nested if statements. Remember that. We're just going to focus on the separate if statements to start it off. What is the general structure of an if statement? You have an if statement. You have the word keyword if, right? Because you've got to tell VB, hey, this is going to be an if statement. So you put in if. What else is essential for an if statement? There needs to be a condition, right? There must be some sort of condition. And then after the condition, what happens next? In VB, you need to have the keyword there. Right. And if you want to add in VB, you all know by now, hopefully, that in VB there's always a start and an end. So how will VB know that you are done with this if statement? End if. Right. So there's an end if, and in between, any code you write there, that gets executed, all of it, or every single line of code inside will be executed if what? If the condition is true. All right. Okay. So now I asked you come up with some variables, and the reason why I said come up with the variables is because you now got to think about, okay, what is my very first step? If I were to come up with an algorithm, very, very straightforward, what must my program do? What's the first step? You'll realize order is very important. So what's the very, very first step that must be taken by your computer program in order for this program to work? What is that? Come on, you've got to know this. You know it, you do. It's very obvious. The very first step is you get the values that the user inputs, right? So, what are those values? What do you need to get in? You need to fetch the values from txt session, and you need to fetch the values from txt week. Okay, so in other words, what variables do you have in place for our two text boxes? We have a variable for session, and we have a variable for week. What are their data types? Session is integer, week is string. Right, okay. So my very first step in my algorithm then is get inputs. And what those inputs are is the session and week, right? Please note, the algorithm really is just you in English writing down step by step what happens. Okay, it isn't language specific. Keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. It isn't language specific. In other words, it doesn't go, oh, this is VB. It is English so that you can take these instructions and you will be able to implement this in any programming language, whether it's Delphi, Java, C++, C#, HTML. HTML is not a programming language, by the way. Okay? But you get what I mean. Right. Yes.
So for the weeks, we're not going to use numbers since we have 14 weeks. I'm saying for the weeks, we're not going to use numbers since we have 14 weeks.
All I'm doing is this is just normal English. We're writing down, we want this information. Right. What is the end result? Right at the end. Forget the in between now for now. So I was like, okay, I got information. I got the session and the week. What must happen at the end? Let's jump right to the end. Let's assume we magically calculated something. What do I need to do at the end? I need to show the answer, right? What's the answer? So basically, I'm going to show output or display output. And there's really only one output, right? And that is which session, what time, which time, basically, which time, and online or in person, face-to-face, as T.L. Motolo wrote. Okay, and I'm going to put that in a single sentence. You could technically split it into two, you could, all right? But I'm going to do it in one text box. Okay, so in between, you putting the information, or the user putting the information into the program, to you going, ta-da, here is the result. This magic needs to happen. And that's where we need to figure out what will our if statements look like. And I'm telling you, if statements, plural. Okay. What will it be? How will you write your if statements? Now, there's different ways of solving this problem. There is. And I am going to go with the laziest possible option. Really. Okay. So let's do the following. I'm going to tell you now that I will write the first one, the first if statement, the first condition, and see if you can't figure out what the rest of them will be. Okay? So my first condition is if session is equal to 1 or session is equal to 2, then time, okay, maybe I go the time equals 1350. Right. So that's what I've written for my first. I'm opening it up and I'm saying the first if statement will look like this. What do you think the rest of this, the if statements will be? Okay, in fact, what I'll do is when I say display output, the output will be displayed as follows. It will say something along the lines of, you must go at, and then I will put in an ampersand. Yes, I'm teaching you something new here. Okay, so I'm going to explain this statement to you. Okay, this is the string I am going to display to my text box, txt when. Okay, so I will at some point go txt when. Please put in txt when the following string. You must go, all right? And please note that you must go is in quotation marks, all right? Followed by an ampersand, followed by online or F2F. Is that a string? What is online or F2F? It's a variable. Ampersand at ampersand the time. Okay, now I'm really throwing you in the deep end of the pool. What do you think is happening here? Any ideas what is happening here? What do you think ampersand means? Let's start with that. What do you think ampersand means? And please don't think, oh no, in programming, that's what, no, forget about that. What does the ampersand mean to you? What does ampersand mean to you? And I don't want people putting their hand up. I want you just shouting the answer to me rudely, and because you all know, what does an ampersand mean? Online people too. Go ahead, type out your answer. What does an ampersand mean? It means and, doesn't it? So what do you think? Online people, are you still alive? I haven't heard from you in, good, I'm seeing and. Okay, so what do you think I am trying to do with this statement here? I am, ladies and gentlemen, in effect, combining string, static string, is in every single time you will see you must go. Okay, you will see you must go. That's a normal string. Everyone gets you must go. And then I combine it with a variable, which is going to contain a string. All right? Does this make sense? And then I combine it with another string. Everyone gets at. And then I'm going to combine it with a second variable, which is also a string, as you can see here, the time. All right? So in other words, think of it this way. Everyone using this program will see the same message. You must go at. All right? In between, you must go at a certain time. Right? Online or offline or face-to-face. Does this make sense? So in other words, the variables will represent the different conditions for you. Does this make sense? You're combining strings, yes. Some person online has indicated. Do you understand? This is how we combine strings together. We're combining strings with variables, which also happen to be strings. Why do we need to combine strings? Because the variables contain, well, the variable value. It can be 3:30. It can be 2:10. It can be whatever that last time is, which I'm now going to pretend is 5 o'clock. I'm just going to pretend it's 5 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Disclaimer. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it can also be, is it online or physical? All right. Okay. Now, with that in mind, you know that I've got two variables. The one variable is online or F2F, and you also have a variable called the time. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to try and write your if statements that complete this entire program. Try. And I'll give you a clue. If we're writing separate if statements, then we need to write another 3 if statements here. Okay, we need to write another 3 if statements to answer this question fully. So, if you are not 100% sure, my suggestion is try to write next 2 which are similar to what I've written here, and then the third if statement that's missing. We can work on it together if you really aren't sure. Okay, so online people, hopefully you got that instruction. Please complete the rest of the if statements in my plan here. All right, so we know that it's to do with the variables online or F2F and the time. And even if you feel, oh, no, I'm very, very much lost, try and attempt it. Because at the end of the day, remember, this is about you building your problem-solving skills. So if you give up already now, you're not practicing, you're not exercising that problem-solving skill. And then NC that's asking, how do we do test data? Right. On that note, how do you do test data? Let me answer this so that I've got time to implement this in front of you. You would come up with test data in terms of, and now remember earlier I mentioned there is what is the permissible values for input. So you know it's either A or B as for the week, but you also know it's either 1 to 6 for the different sessions. So your test data would be a combination of those values, and then you know, because if you were manually put on the spot and I said, it's week B this week, and it is group 1, I mean session 1, then you would know, well, that means you are online this week, and your time should be 13:50. Right. Okay. So who's finished with the if statements? One person? Online people? Anyone done? Okay. I'm just going to give you a few more minutes to work on it because I would like to see you try your own answers. The best is actually you try, and then when we go through the answers, you compare and you see, well, why did you come up with that answer? Okay? And question, why did you think that? This is not to say, oh, no, you're wrong, you're too stupid. No, 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 no. Ask yourself, why did you reach that conclusion? Because it's really important as part of your problem-solving capabilities. Right. And then I just want a quick show of hands. The people in this venue right now, the tutorial, online and physical, are you mainstream or are you doing the 4-year degree? So who's doing the 3-year degree? Okay, is there anyone doing a 4-year degree here? Okay, all right, just checking. Thank you. Okay. Are you still busy? Have you at least done 2 of their statements? Who's stuck on the 3rd one? Okay, only, don't worry, you put your hand up because you like volunteering all the time. But don't feel like, oh, you're the only one who doesn't know. There's others. They're just too lazy to put their hand up. Okay, 3-year here. All right. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start giving you the answer because I'm positive you've done the first one. But second one here. So, is this your second if statement? time. The time can be wrong. It doesn't matter. We're just trying to say, let's assume. Okay. Anyone have a different answer? On this note, ladies and gentlemen, notice that I'm using or. Yesterday in class, we kept going on about and. It must be and, right? At least in my class, I was going, it better be and, can't be or. So now I'm saying it's or here. Why is it that I'm insisting it is or today and not and? What will happen if I change this to and? You all know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, this is or. I'm insisting it's or today. And maybe you don't know whether it should be or and. So if you put and in here, what will happen besides the classic answer? It will be wrong. Why is it not and? Yes. Okay, right. Because you want it to be true for either of the two. If and, is it ever going to be possible that it will be 1 and 2? Can a session be 1 and 2? Does anyone here have your session 1 and 2? No, you're either session 1 or you're either session 2. You are either session 3 or 4, 5 or 6. Okay, so over here, and then I'm going to be lazy because, you know, it's the same, isn't it? Change it to 5 or 6. And then obviously this time has to change. And honestly, I'm terrible with time, so I'm just going to pretend it's 5 o'clock. Session 3 starts at 5 o'clock. Please, this Friday, don't rock up at 5 o'clock and then tell Mr. Labier that I've been teaching you all wrong. I'm saying, let's assume session 3 is 5 o'clock. It's not. Okay, right. So who did this? Hands up. Okay, majority of you. Yeah, because it's easy to copy. Let's be honest. The real test is, did you do the next if statement? Who attempted the next if statement? So, no. Okay, there's a hand raised, 2 hands. And online people, who tried the last if statement? Are you ready? If week is equal to A, then, not 10, then online or F to F is equal to, what will it be? If this is week A, what will it be? If this is week A, if this week is week A, then it would be physical. Okay, so you're going, oh, then it would be physical, all right? But what else? Well, if it's physical, then obviously, then the otherwise, then it's what? Else in diff, you use an else, right? Okay, now let's look at this. Does this really solve our problem? Because earlier we said what? How many different possibilities are there? 12. Right. So if we do it this way, and we go, yeah, this should work, you know, I've got my 3 if statements for indicating which session it is. And then we have a week is equal to A, and it's physical. Otherwise, it's obviously week B. That's how it is, right? Who did it this way? Nobody. Then what's wrong with it? You'll see the problem here. Okay, yes. Okay, you see where I'm coming from here? No. I'm deliberately making a mistake so that you can all hopefully avoid this. Online people, do you see what I'm doing here? Okay, let's assume that, oh, logically, this makes sense. Okay, I've handled the 3. You're either session 1, session 2, so I've handled the time, right? We've at least got the time. You agree? Now we have to just figure out, are you online or offline? Does this make sense? So we just said, well, then if it's week A, then it's obviously physical, because this week is week A, isn't it? Then it's physical. And if it's week B, then it must be online. Is it not? Some of you are like, yes, and she's like, no. Do you see what the error is? Who sees what the error is? Few of you. Right. Okay, so there's a few people online who will just say, this doesn't work. Now let's say, yes, so online someone says, but isn't it also based on the session number? Isn't it? So can we actually separate the two? Okay, there's people saying, yeah, we can still separate the two. Okay, fine. Let's do this. Let's run Studio Code. No, not Code, Visual Basic. Visual Studio. Okay, so ETJ Ujoborja, sorry, I'm butchering your surname, says, no, we should combine them. Who thinks we should combine them? Like one person is like, yeah, we should combine. You agree. Okay. Let's go here quickly. Create a new project. Yeah, we've got, I think, 25 minutes left, right? 20. Okay. So let's go to Visual Basic. Visual Basic. Go to Windows. Go to Desktop. And here we go. I'm just going to create this project. Go next. I don't think dark mode is actually very good for the screen. Online people, can you see that? Physical people, can you see it? I think it's terrible, but okay. Clearly, I'm too old school for this. Okay, so practical assistant, let's say. Okay, we're going to click start. Next, create. Okay, I'm not going to create too much. Go. Terrible laptop. Slow. Come on. Create. Not responding. Okay, we're getting there. Right, the reason why I want you to actually play around with this is because I think it crashed. No, there it's back. But it's on my screen. Okay, over here. Let's do that. Okay, I'm just going to chuck the buttons on and the text boxes on without naming them. So they're going to be called text box 1, text box 2, you get it. Online people, commentary for you wondering what's going on. We're waiting for my laptop to finally get around to creating what it needs to create. Physical people can sense my frustration. Right, ladies and gentlemen, are you comfortable with changing the form name by now, as required? Is there anyone who's struggling with it still? Anyone? Nobody. You're good. Okay, there's one person there who's put their hand up. Remember, please, I can't hear you because I've disabled the sound from my side. I can't hear you, just so that you can hear me. Okay, I'm assuming you know how to do it, or you are struggling to rename your form. Yay! Okay, cool. Let's go. So over here, you go to Toolbox, and I'm just going to pin that quickly. And I'm waiting for the Toolbox to initialize. Yay! Okay, Windows Forms. I'm going to add in my text box. Okay, there's one button. I'm going to throw the button there. I'm going to throw in my text boxes. TXT, text box, no track bar, text box. Text box there. There's one. I'm going to copy that. Second one. There's the second one for my week. And then there's a third one for specifying what the string should be. Okay. Right, so text box 1, 2, 3, button 1. Okay, and I am not even going to rename my form. I'm just going to double click on this button. Why do I double click on this button? Because I'm going to double click on the button to create my event container. Okay, if you try to view your code without the event container, let's go, view code, F7, you will see that the code, I'm going to get rid of the toolbox. Get rid of this as well. I don't need these things at the moment. You will see that it just shows. Hopefully you can see your code now. You see that it only has public class form1 and then class. So you need to go back to your designer and double click on the button to generate the container that will create the event for my code. Because remember, when you double click on the button, you want code to execute. So I'm going to double click on that button, and you will see that, ta-da, there is the code. You also notice, and I'm not sure if Mr. Labia pointed this out, that there is a color bar on the side. That normally appears when you are making changes to your code. So as you're typing away, that yellow bar is going to highlight more and more lines of code where they see changes. It's also trying to remind you visually that it's been so long since you last saved your work, which is not a great idea to save your work regularly. Okay, so when you are done throwing all your controls onto your form, you've renamed it, you've set everything, you can start writing the code. What's the first thing you do when you write code? You will specify at the top your option statements. So you've got option, strict on, right? And there's also option. Do you remember? So what is it? Don't just go yes. That's like I go, what is the answer? And you go, I know. Okay, it's option explicit on, right? Does it matter what order they are in? So if you want to put in alphabetical order, option explicit first, does that matter? No. What matters for your first semester test is that you actually know what they're both for. You can't go, oh, the two of them are so that I declare my variables and I do data conversions explicitly. You can't say that. You've got to know that option explicit on is forces you to declare all your variables. You need to know that option strict on forces you to do the data conversions explicitly, which is what confuses people because I use the word explicit for option strict. So you go, No. Isn't that for explicit? No. Two different things. Okay. What else do I need to do? I need to declare my variable. So I'm going to have declare week as string, and I'm going to have private session as integer, and then I might even say, oh, I've decided that it is face F2F or online, and yes, I'm using different names. And then if I want to declare a second variable, I can say time as string, but I wouldn't use time. I can use time, I wouldn't use time. The reason why I wouldn't use the variable time on its own is because time is a little too close to one of the keywords in VB. That's why I would say the time, not the greatest, but okay. Right, so in your button, first thing you do is you can go week is equal to, and you're fetching the week from the text box. Do I need to go C string text box 2.text? But if I do, it doesn't complain. So can't I just be safe? Yes, no? Who thinks well, come on, I'm just trying to be safe here. It's a string, I know it's a string. I just want to convert it to a string just to be doubly sure. No, don't do that. Why not? Because you're telling a computer to do things unnecessarily, and that's part of the no-nos. Okay, so one thing we will mark you against you is if you do a data conversion where it's not necessary. If you don't do the data conversions where it is necessary, then we also penalize you. So that is not necessary. However, session is an integer. So do I need to do conversion? Yes, I do. Cin text box1.txt. All right, so I've got my answer. Well, no, not minus, equal. All right, and then I'm going to start writing my if statement. So I said if, and then I'm going, oh yeah, I'm going to take this, and sorry, I'm going to go to my text box. Notepad, where is my notepad? Notepad. So I'm going to kind of copy this code because it's more or less what I want. It's wrong, but I'm going to more or less do that. Okay. Okay, so I've got that there. If week is equal to A, obviously my variable has changed. It's F2F or online. Notice that what I've got enabled here is something called autocomplete. All right, well, which I do not recommend you turning on while you're learning to program. Okay, but once you figured it out, this is useful because it helps you remind you what your variable names are. And then after that is done, I would say, oh yeah, I've got it. Then I am going to take the text from, come on, notepad. There we go, and I'm going to copy that, this here. I'm going to go, you must go online, and so on, and I'm going to go into, right, so over here I would say text box 3.txt is equal to, you must go, and obviously that's causing an error because it should be F2F, or online, right. So let's run this. We know it's wrong, but let's run it. Okay, because I want you to see why it is wrong. Okay, remember earlier one of the students online asked, what about test data? And this is why it's important that you have test data. So we go over here, we're going to run the program. And please remember, this is wrong. This is wrong. But, so don't be surprised when I show it, you're like, oh, why is it wrong? Well, once it finally gives me a program, it's starting the build. You know, this laptop is nearing that period where my students put in the complaints, the laptop needs to be faster. It's that time of the year again. Please don't put it in again. I know, I'm aware of it. I'm hoping to get a new laptop soon. Ready? Yay, where is it? Where are you? Ah, there we go. Let me move it here. Ugliest form in the world. Okay, give me some test data. Session what? Okay, let's say session 4. And group what? I mean week what? Let's make it, okay? Right, so submit. According to this, if it's week B and it's session 4, what should we get? Okay, it should be, if it's week B this week and you are in session 4, it means that you should come physically to the venue, right? Isn't it? Session 4 is group B. If it's week B this week, then come physically. Right. Does this make sense? I know it's not. Ah, okay. You must go online. What? At 15:30. Okay. We know this is wrong, but is it completely wrong? No. So is it half right? So can I get 50%? No. All right. Online people, you see what I'm getting at. All right. So here's the other thing I need to point out to you. When you're doing your form design, and you know your result is going to be very, very long, should you intelligently keep your text box this small? No, because then your users go, what is this? What is this? You want me to scroll? Right? So no. And that's part of your design. You must make sure that you are aware that this could be a longer sentence. It will be a longer sentence. Make it longer. All right. So we know that this is wrong. Which part is correct? Which part is correct? The time is correct. But the venue is wrong. I mean, the venue is wrong. Are you coming online? So in other words, the way we have evaluated based on week A or week B is actually very, very naive. Okay, and earlier one of the online people said we should combine them, and this is what he's talking about. You see, then you should go, okay, fine, maybe, what if I say A? What if I say week A? Right? Session 4, week A. If I press this button again, it says you must physical at 15:30. And you're like, yes, that is correct. Okay, it's week A now. Okay? No. Right. So, what do you think should happen? Because we don't have much time now. I want you to think about this, reflect on this. Okay, we're going to work on it. Obviously not in the tutorial. We're going to talk about more complex if statements in class. So my question here is, someone said we should combine them. What do we mean by combining them? And I'll give you a clue. So over here, we're going to stop this. And we're going to say, what if we start with something like this? And we say, if week equal to A, right? And then instead of just jumping straight to for F to F or online, we go, let's put in another if statement. If session is equal to 1, then what would it be? If it is week A now, and you're in session 1, you would be physical, right? Otherwise, what could it be? It's online. So can I put the else here? Can I put the else here instead? Would it make sense? No. Okay, so where would the else be? Would this make more sense? scroll down there a little so that the people in front can see. Would this make more sense? Please note, however, if we do this, how many more of these do we need to create? So remember earlier we said there were 12 possibilities. So how many of these do you think we need to create? We need to create another 5 sets of these. Because we need, if it's week A and the session is 2, then, so let me copy that. So let's get rid of all this. Say 2, then it is, this would be online. And if this was session 2, then it would be physical. All right, now if we ran this, but we only tested for week A or B for session 1 and 2, let's see what happens. All right. Is there a better way to write that code? Absolutely. So let's go. So remember we're only testing 1 or 2, so it's a session 1, and it is week B. What should it be? You must go online, and we know the time is correct. Okay? We also have to specify the time. Because now we forgot to specify the time, so it just says at. So, got to put in the time. Close that. But now we go, oh, but if it's session 1, can you see there's a lot of repeated code here? So what can we do to fix this? Maybe we should do this instead. We take this out. We say if session is equal to 1, and then we go if week is equal to A, then else online, and then end if here. Let's get rid of all that. So can you see I'm swapping the session around? And then afterwards, maybe for session 1, if it's session 1, it's always going to be what time? And then I would have to do this differently. Change this to session 2. And then this would be online. And this would be physical. Okay, right. So if you have this, that's one way of solving it, but you have to do it again for the other 4. Is there a better way to write this code? Oh, yes. And I see that someone is like, what about the and? Yes, the and. How are we going to do that? Any ideas? What does this if statement inside an if statement actually mean? If session is equal to 2 and week is equal to A. So this statement that we've written, we could rewrite it as if session is equal to 2 and week is equal to A. Then does this mean make sense? Right, and you would also have to specify the time. Like that. So please don't write this code and the code on top. This part of code here equals the same as this part of the code. So you would still have to write a second one for if session is equal to 2 and week is equal to B. What I'm trying to get at today is there's actually a lot of variations to these if statements, and it's actually a very powerful way of giving choice to your users. And I don't really have time to finish everything, but just something for you to think about, or rather just to confuse you now. You go, oh, if statements are not that simple. And on that note, how many of you are very, very interested in AI? You know, some people will say that AI systems, really stupid AI systems, are glorified if statements. And it's true. If you write powerful if statements, you can have a pretty stupid AI program going on. Right. So, yes, you can start writing your dumb AI program soon. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day, ladies and gentlemen. Tomorrow, please don't be too shocked if you don't see either of us, Mr. Labia or myself, in the lecture halls. I have to be on Soweto campus, and Mr. Labia probably has a medical emergency. So we've got 2 other lecturers giving our lectures tomorrow. Thank you. Hello?